Welcome to the Airline Pilot Podcast, a new show from the Airline Pilots Association. I'm Corey Kuhn.
And I'm Dan Bristol. Today, we're talking about EAA AirVenture Oshkosh.
If you've never been to Oshkosh, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in aviation. Even if you're not a huge aviation nut, I'm a huge aviation nut. I see the coolest things here. Just walking around, there's the very first 172, and it's done up the way it was when this brand new ALPA factory filled. John Glenn's old Baron is here. You're not going to see that anywhere else. And just walking around the grounds and seeing a B-29 fly over, where are you going to see that? I love it. I hope everybody can come and see us.
During Oshkosh, we talked with pilot leaders and volunteers who were there to talk with our members and future pilots about what ALPA does and get them excited about a career in aviation. We talked to ALPA's president, Captain Jason Ambrosi, Vice President for Admin and Secretary Tyler Hawkins, Membership Committee Chair Candy Bernskeder, Education Committee Chair Justin DeHaan, and the Leadership Committee Chair Mark Lockwood, who you just heard from. Corey, can you tell us a little bit about what it's like and what this event is?
It is really hard to describe how awesome this Oshkosh experience is. They call it the world's greatest aviation celebration, and it really, truly is. You've got close to 700,000 people who come out to the middle of Wisconsin in the dead of summer when it's 90 plus degrees and 90 plus % humidity and thunderstorms every day. And it doesn't matter because everyone is just there for the love of aviation.
This is an event that's really focused on general aviation and the general aviation pilot. What does that mean for ALPA pilots who most of the time they're flying the big jets?
I think it's often marketed as a general aviation event. Obviously that's the GA part of it, but it's just aviation. It's air shows every day. There's vendors there. If you have a plane, there's vendors there to sell you equipment. There are presentations every day, not only from people like ALPA, who are there to, present materials on what it's like to be an airline pilot, but there's presentations there from people to teach you how to build your own plane or how to, correctly do call signs. NATCA has a huge tent and presence there, and every day they talk to pilots about, the importance of communicating with air traffic controllers. They have planes on display. If you are a history buff, there is a whole section of warbird planes that's just about, the impact that aviation had to our military's history. It is just so all-encompassing, and you just walk around in awe.
Oshkosh is an amazing event for people who are passionate about aviation, whether they're just getting started, doing it as a hobby, or made a career out of it, like ALPA pilots. And ALPA is there to be a resource for all those people. Captain Ambrosi explained what ALPA's setup looks like.
So it's morphed over the years. It started out with a tent outside in the campground, and then to a booth at one of the main. There's 4 big exhibit hangars, and now we've been able to progress to a large tent in the main area where the exhibitors like Garmin and Boeing Plaza and all that. So a much more desirable location. It's a large tent where we have presentations, where we provide dinners every evening for our members. And it's got a booth for volunteers to meet our members and meet the EAA members that are interested in potentially becoming pilots, joining our great profession, as well as a small simulator where they can practice flying. So it's a neat setup that we're lucky to continue to have.
ALPA provides a space for community for our members at Oshkosh, and Captain Ambrosi told us why that's important to him.
ALPA is a bottom-up organization, and this helps us connect with our members where they already are. Our members, many of our members share that passion for general aviation, just like we do for flying our passengers and cargo every day in commercial operations. And It's great to get out there and see our members, shake hands, talk to them, and share that passion they have and enthusiasm for aviation. It also shows many members the type of work we do, encourage them to get more involved. What are we talking about? What are we doing? Where are our resources being spent? And it also shows other members what their counterparts do, right? We get out there and tell the story about how ALPA members are flying in the aerobatic routines. Our ALPA members are involved in vintage airplanes and things like that, stuff that may end up spurning interest in a fellow aviator.
We also talked with Tyler Hawkins and Candy Bernskater about how valuable that community at Oshkosh can be for ALPA and our members.
The first pilot at the ALPA booth this year was one of our newest members. It was a pilot from Air Canada. We opened up on Monday morning, and he literally was there waiting for our booth to open to come in, and he was really, really excited about membership. And I think sometimes it's understated, just having a presence here and what it means for our members to just come and engage with really all facets of leadership that we have represented here. We have committee members here. We have regular line pilots here. We've got 2 national officers here this week, and that sort of one-on-one engagement is really critical to continue to foster and build upon unionism. It's really unique here to have an opportunity to talk with some of our most senior members, some of our members who have been members for a while, and some individuals who are potentially our members in the next few years.
This is what Candy had to say.
We get to meet not just up-and-coming pilots and talk about how to become an airline pilot and the pathways to the airlines. We get to talk to them about what it's like at our airlines and what it's like to be a FedEx pilot or a Delta pilot or an Envoy pilot. For our current members, we like meeting them and sharing the benefits of their ALPA membership and just camaraderie and unity, kind of like a pub event, like a gigantic pub event.
In addition to the services for our members, we talked about the services that ALPA offers to aspiring aviators, the folks who are there because they want to fly or are passionate about aviation and might think about a career in commercial aviation. And that's a real draw. For ALPA, as you know, we're continuing to do all of our outreach and education work to connect with these aspiring aviators.
So many people have come up. I've got 500 hours. I've got 700 hours. I'm almost there. I've got a CJO at this airline, and I'm just getting 200 hours more. And it's such a great opportunity to really be a first point of contact, be a first touch point to engage with what unionism is. What is it that we do as an association? Help frame the conversation of how we're going to define unionism for today and in the current generation and the next generation. As we we often talk about being sort of in flux right now in the association and how we're changing for the future. And I think it's so important to be able to be here and talk to each one of those individuals to really help drive and push our association forward.
I think it just takes 1 week at Oshkosh to really get a sense that the future of the airline piloting profession is very, very strong. Every day, there is always somebody in the ALPA booth that is talking to one of our volunteers about what they need to enter the profession, how to nail an interview, how many more hours they need, recommendations, mentorship. The future is very, very strong, and that is something that is always fun to see at Oshkosh. And for those pilots who are really looking into moving into the professional piloting realm, they have the resources there to talk to real-life pilots about the various pathways available to them. Because we all know there's multiple ways to become an airline pilot today.
Really, it's good. There's a lot more opportunities to get involved and a lot more pathways. Traditionally, back when we all started flying, it was pretty much learn either how to fly in the military or go learn to fly privately or an aviation-related university, and that was really kind of the 3 pathways, and then you would build your time. Right now, there's so many different airlines present at the Career Education Center, and there's so many different opportunities to really tailor towards each individual. People can go those traditional ways we went, but there's also more opportunities for time building to proceed in the career that way. And there's also more pathways to get into that flight deck of a major airline if that's your ultimate goal. And that's what's nice about coming to an event like this. We can speak about those flight decks, direct them into the Career Education Center to then talk to those people and learn more about those hands-on with each individual path.
This is an interview that Education Committee Chair Justin DeHaan did with EAA Radio. He talked about teaching aspiring pilots the path to get onto the flight deck, but as most pilots know, and definitely every aspiring aviator knows, it's one thing to know the path, it's the other to have funding. So Justin continued to talk about some of the funding that's available for aspiring pilots to make sure that they can end up on the flight deck.
So right now, because there is such a need for pilots, there is a significant increase in the funding available for financing. There's no doubt that sometimes it can be very expensive to get into. When I was flying, there was almost no scholarships offered in it. Now when you look in, all of the great organizations that are here, plus many more that aren't here, do offer some sort of scholarship to get into flying. Some of them will offer that towards the education aspect of it. Some will offer it directly towards the flying aspect of it. So the biggest advice I can say is search far and wide. If you can find a scholarship for $100, $500, there's so many opportunities out there. Most people are actually surprised to see how little people apply for a lot of these scholarships. So I tell everybody, if you are eligible and meet the requirements, take the time, put in that application, because you can get a large amount of your flying funded now by scholarships that are available.
ALPA does a lot of educational outreach, and Oshkosh is one of the great opportunities for us to do that work. You know, when you have several 100,000 people, aviation enthusiasts, then you're going to end up with a lot who want to become commercial pilots. And it's an opportunity for us to really connect the dots for a young person who's about to enter college who wants to become a pilot, or someone who's early in their career and realize that they want to make a change. And Justin continued to talk about how the work that he's doing at the Education Committee extends beyond Oshkosh. It extends into a lot of other avenues.
When ALPA first started their educational outreach, we started where we had an interest in it. The aviation universities. People were already interested in flying. We helped to foster that pathway to the airline. But as time has gone on, and studies have shown that people get their interest in their career when they're a lot younger. So now we engage between elementary school. We do a lot of elementary school visits, more middle school. We're increasing our high school outreach, as well as different industry groups that you might not even think of. For example, earlier this month, we attended the American School Counselor Association conference. We're talking with school counselors. They're not looking at being pilots, but what they do have is students that are interested in flying, and they don't know the pathway to get there. Now we can provide that information so they can take it back and talk to their students that were either interested, or when it comes up, it's now on their mind of, wait, this is a career that one of these students could get into. They bring it up. So we're increasing that awareness and trying to reach out to them when they're younger to help guide them along their career.
Justin talked about some of the ways we're reaching people. We also caught up with Captain Ambrosi about why that's valuable for ALPA and what ALPA is doing, in addition to events like Oshkosh, to reach future pilots and future members.
Well, it is two front there. We engage with our members, but it's also important to be committed to building a strong pilot pipeline for the future, to be future ALPA members, right? We want to help people come into this great profession, show how great this job can be, and inspire great pilots. Future pilots, future members understand that the work we do, and show them that we're just not the benefits of ALPA, what do we do and why are we important and why are we essential? Why the industry is where it is today. Not just the safety aspect, but the bargaining aspect, the fact that we've held airlines accountable and brought this profession, attempted to bring this profession back to where it was before bankruptcy. And again, continuing to support a robust pipeline of pilots while still pushing back on the special interest attacks on safety regulations. Oshkosh is just a small piece. It gets a lot of publicity because it's the biggest air show. It's massive, and lots of our members go there. But we have members that behind the scenes are going and doing classroom visits, beginning at the elementary school level. We have Project Takeoff events in Denver and Orlando just this month, which are events at airports that allow aspiring pilots and the flying public to talk with ALPA members about flying and how to become a pilot. Attending events like Oshkosh, other air shows, Women in Aviation International Conferences, American School Counselor Association Conference to help connect with prospective pilots. Highlight the opportunity to become a pilot as a career path for young people. I've testified before Congress 3 times this year on how the federal government can increase access to pilots in becoming eventual flight deck aviators with federal funding for flight training. And we've endorsed the Flight Education Access Act this year, which would expand access to federal student loans for flight training. This is a great profession, and anything we can do to encourage people to join it, as well as to be future ALPA members, that educate them early through ACE clubs in colleges and every other method that our great PDG and education committees do on behalf of the association.
Another aspect of growing the pilot pipeline is encouraging folks coming out of the military to transition into a career as an airline pilot. Corey, can you tell us a little about what that looks like at Oshkosh?
Another one of the daily presentations was conducted by Captain Candy Bernsketter, who had this presentation called Military Vets to Airline Jets, Funding Your Airline Career. And it really was widely attended, lots of interest from pilots who this actually applied to. And it's, again, another valuable resource that ALPA provides to pilots to bring them into the career.
We're talking about how military veterans can use government funding in order to pay for their flight training and become airline pilots. It's really geared for someone who's not a pilot in the military, though those pilots would get a little bit of benefit maybe with another type rating or a little extra training, but it's made for maybe an enlisted person in the military or an officer that didn't do aviation to find out all the programs the U.S. government has to help them pay for their airline training. And actually they can do almost all of it for free if they really hustle and apply for all the programs.
Corey, it was really great to talk with you about all of the opportunities and all of the programs that ALPA offered for all of our members, aspiring pilots, and just aviation enthusiasts at Oshkosh. Do you have any final takeaways from your experience at Oshkosh and the events we did?
I think our discussion today just barely scratched the surface of how valuable ALPA's presence is at Oshkosh. It is important that we're there for the pilots of today, for the pilots of tomorrow, and really just for our industry as a whole. Everybody who's anybody is there. Airlines are there. Flight schools are there. Other professional airline organizations, I mentioned the air traffic controllers are there. There is such a significant aviation presence that having ALPA there also really just demonstrates our contributions to this industry and obviously the profession.
Thank you for joining us for the second episode of the Airline Pilot Podcast. If you want to read more about this year's EAA AirVenture Oshkosh, you can read about it in the Airline Pilot magazine. Next month, we're going to be talking about ALPA's aviation safety work and the ongoing effort to make sure that safety is a priority in the FAA reauthorization process through an interview with Captain Ambrosi and Aviation Safety Chair Captain Steve Jangelis. If you have any questions or have any topics you want us to cover in future episodes of the podcast, feel free to reach out to us at podcast@alpa.org.
Yes, and thank you to those of you who have already sent us emails. We were very excited to get your thoughts and are already collecting a list of what's up next. So we appreciate your feedback and let us know. To listen and subscribe to all the Airline Pilot Podcast episodes, you can check us out online at alpa.org, or you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Until next time, this is the Airline Pilot Podcast. Production copyright ALPA 2023. All rights reserved.